Welcome to the Christian Consciousness Movement, awakening and activating the Christian consciousness. Today is Thursday, August 31st, 2023. It is now 10:06 a.m. And today's video is called The Universal Law Many Belief Systems Aside from Christianity Don't Know About. The Law of Sin and Death. A part of why I'm making this specific video is because after speaking with many people from different belief systems such as Hinduism, Egyptology, Sumerian, Aztec, Mayans, Dogon tribe, various different belief systems, and even just studying some of them, what I've come to the awareness is that they all have beliefs in very similar things, such as, that there's different gods, which is a different topic. However, that there are also laws that governs the universe, right? They all come to a sense there's laws that are governing our existence. Number two, even if there's people that don't believe in the belief systems of these ancient civilizations, if they just believe in science, they also believe that, or know, because they believe in science, or that there's laws that govern the universe, right? And what I found so interesting about that is because they're 100% correct, right? There are laws that govern the universe. Like, right now we have, just using an example, we have the laws of nature, but some of the laws that I hear many of them talk about are divine oneness, law of vibration, law of correspondence. Law of attraction was a big one that was going on, a couple years ago, with like the secret of how to get anything you want in life with positive energy and stuff like that. There's a law of rhythm, right? That has to do with music. Law of gender, law of polarity, right? And these are just a few that I listed. Now, the fact of the matter is, these laws do exist. And some believers in Christ are going to be like, well, if it's not stated in the Bible verbatimly, then it's not real or it's not true. And I think that mindset for believers that think like that is what has caused many not to realize that based on Job 38:33, there's a reference to the ordinances of heaven, right? And ordinance also mean laws. So there are ordinances of heaven, and technically they're not going to all be listed in the Bible, right? You're going to see instances in the Bible where when God talks about creation, he set the foundation and he basically laid everything out. But to know exactly what those laws are verbatim, this is where other cultures, other belief systems have gone a little bit further and deeper, which is okay to an extent, right? Now, the reason why I say it's okay to an extent is because while these laws exist, right, the reason why the laws in the Bible, especially when it came to the nation of Israel, right, was such a big thing, is these are more earthly laws. And we see the Ten Commandments, we have the moral, the social, the food, the purity laws, and there's probably others, that are in the Old Testament that I have not, listed. But a lot of times people have issues when they read the Bible with these laws, like why would God do this and do that? Because I realize some of them laws sound crazy, especially when you have to factor in, time, location, and the period of mankind. However, based on Job 38:33, when you understand there's ordinances of heaven that have dominion over the earth, then it makes a little bit sense that while the Ten Commandments, the moral, the social, the food, and purity laws, some of them can seem crazy or unfair, especially when it comes to social laws. God, who knows the ordinance of the heaven, is looking down to earth, and he's establishing these earthly laws based on how ordinances of heaven work. And like I said before, many of us believers, we do not know all the ordinances of heavens, and even people that have these common laws from different belief systems or science, they don't know all the ordinances of heavens. So that's the first thing that we have to acknowledge, whether you're a non-believer or a believer, that laws, especially if you're a non-believer, the laws that are on in the Old Testament that seem a bit radical, right? Where it seemed like God was just like on a power trip. It was because there's ordinances of heavens that he was attempting or trying to keep man in alignment with. And this goes now to the biggest statement. When man does not keep in alignment with the laws that were primarily in the Bible, right? But even, let's say, if divine beings don't keep in harmony with these laws from other belief systems, there's one law that Christianity focuses on, that the Bible focuses on, that is literally like the main law of the universe, that the gospel is, well, one of them, that the gospel is of Jesus Christ dying for his sins, is centered around, and that is the law of sin and death. I find that many belief systems that understand, all these different laws of the universe exist, tend not to know about the law of sin and death. And what's crazy is like, the law of sin and death is very simple, because we even here on earth have systems in place that actually are a copy or replica of the law of sin and death without realizing it, right? And essentially the law of sin and death is simply this, which you can find out about in Romans 8:21. But sin is breaking the law. Sin is transgression of the law, right? So if you sin, which means to go against the established laws, right, that are in place, the established ordinances that are in place, right, based on 1 John 3:4, you will receive death. Death equals, so in Romans 6:23, the wages of sin is death. And death is, this sense, because it's more spiritual, and we're talking about the whole universe, is being sent to Sheol. So it's very simple. If anyone, whether you're a spiritual being or a physical being, transgresses laws that God has set up in place, you will be sent to Sheol, right? Now, what is Sheol? As we can see over here, right? Heaven, earth, Sheol. These are the three main realms of the universe. And heaven and earth is where life is. So it's basically like society, right? In terms of being a human, society, right? You're doing everything you want, you're functioning, you're living in society. However, in society, on earth, if you break the law, you go to prison, right? The grand scope of this whole universe in terms of spiritual things is if you are, whether you're a being from heaven, like a holy son of God, like an angel, whether you are a man or a woman, which is a son or daughter of God, if you break the laws, whether you're in heaven or whether you're on earth, you will be sent to prison, aka Sheol. And to be in society is life, but to be in prison is basically death. So that is all the law of sin and death is saying. So when I hear so many people talk about the Bible and, oh, why is the Bible talking about sin and God is not allowing us to do this and do that? And I'm just like, most belief systems have a concept of morality. Most belief systems understand, not about transgression boundaries of human beings. Most belief systems understand that there's a battle between good and evil. And all the Bible is trying to establish is that if you do evil in the grand scope of things, you're going to get sent to the prison of the universe. And the prison of the universe ain't no regular jail cell here on earth, right? The prison of the universe is essentially below the earth, within the waters, right? Deep underground. Primarily, within the waters. This is where angels that rebelled against God, right? That's where they got sent. This is where humans, for a time period, and I don't even want to go into the whole aspect of humans because this now goes into the message of salvation, so I'm going to stay away from that, right? But after Adam and Eve sinned in Genesis chapter 3, right? They broke the law, they ate the fruit, right? This is where they would go after they physically died, down to Sheol. That is simply what the law of sin and death is. And if you're a non-believer, or believer, but primarily if you're a non-believer, I sincerely hope that, if someone shares this video with you, you look into understanding what the law of sin and death is, because a lot of times I understand that people think that the Bible is not fair, right? But many things that are established on earth are just copies of what's going on in heaven. For example, for an end, the concept of judgment. So before one gets sent down to the prison of the universe, just like here on earth, if you do something wrong, depending on the law you break, there's already the sentence, you're wrong. But just like how we have a court system and a judicial system here on earth to determine things, right? There is a thing up here in heaven called the courts of heaven, and where God is the judge, and then there are others that are in heaven that are judges, right? And there's a whole judgment that determines what's the consequence, right? Does one go to prison? So the same way we have these systems here on earth, when it comes to the Bible is, in some aspects, if you read for those things, it's explaining that those things are also a system within the whole universe, and that whether you're a spiritual being, right, whether you're a physical being, right, there are also laws that we must not transgress, laws that we must not break. It's not the simple laws that we humans have. There's deeper laws that the spiritual beings, they know about. And when we break or transgress these laws, the consequence is, which is a sin, the consequence is death, is to be sent to prison, is to be kicked out of society, kicked out of heaven, kicked out of earth, and sent to prison. That's how the law of sin and death work in the simplest form that I can explain it for this video. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you have any questions, comment below, and yeah, read up more, do more research, and learn more about the law of sin and death, because once you understand the law of sin and death, then you'll understand what the law of the Spirit of life in Christ is, and the real depth of what salvation is, why mankind is able to receive salvation, and God's overall plan for the system of things.